Welcome to ER, Emotional Response. This is Life Coaching with Ink Ivory. Hi. Today has been a shift only because this week has been a shift. Usually I do the podcast on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but because of a family emergency, it has shifted to Wednesday and Friday. Next week, we resume back to Tuesday and Thursday. Just because I'm used to talking to y'all then. You're probably used to hearing from me then. And it's just consistency is way more important than fluctuating back and forth on different days. So, welcome. Today, we're concluding a series on habits. The first four parts, the first three parts, let me correct that. The first three parts, I covered business, the pros and cons of habits and business. And then this last one is going to deal with relationships. Relationships, because when you don't manage your private life, it bleeds into your professional. And your habits might not be in your professional. You might have that area of your life so well managed that you're cool in that area. And it just might be relationships. So I just want to dive in, do this episode on relationships, mainly because it's just as important as business. And habits and relationship can affect the longevity of the relationship. Sometimes you could get used to habits, or sometimes you could be like, enough is enough with certain habits. So I just want to make sure I'm covering this, mainly because it does affect your professional life. When you're not managing your private life effectively, it does bleed into your professional. I'm going to cover both positive habits and negative habits when it comes to relationship. Don't foresee this being a two-part relationship thing, but if it does bleed into a two-part, I'll be more than glad to expand it and even dive in deeper. So when talking about habits, and it'll seem like I'm all over the place, but I'm still talking about relationship habits, you have to be mindful that you're not in a relationship just with yourself. You're in a relationship with a totally different human being with totally different thoughts, totally different emotions. Can they be complementary towards yours? Sure. Can they look like yours? Sometimes people end up relationships where they look like each other. Sure. However, we don't want to take away the fact that they've been raised in a totally different environment with you than you, have totally different experiences than you. And so through that, they have different dispositions and behaviors that they operate out of that you can't control, and sometimes they can't control. And sometimes it becomes a blind side because it's just ingrained in them. So when you meet a person and you start dating them and liking them and getting well acquainted with them enough to build a relationship, you gotta look at the things that brought you to that point. And there were certain habits that he or she was doing that affected you and secured your decision to be in a relationship with them. If it was her always giving you the warmest hug, If it was him always calling you good morning, good evening, have a good day. If it was the different details they noticed with your attire. If it was her seeing something on your face or features and always clearing it, like she was so into your existence or he was so into your existence. Those different habits that brought you to the point of being committed is the different habits that will sustain your relationship. Can more habits be added? Sure. Definitely. Especially if you're not accustomed to loving a person a certain way. That's why music got that song, Teach Me How to Love You, or Show Me How to Love You. You know the title. You know what I mean. I ain't perfect, but you know the song I'm talking about. So with that song, it's just, you have to obtain certain habits, get in the habit of, well, I ain't used to holding hands. Well, let me hold her hand. That's her personality. Her love language might be touch. His might be affirmation. He needs to hear that he's valued and appreciated. And he means a lot in your life. Those are the habits that you can acquire. I want to be vague to a certain point, but then I want to be specific to a certain point too, because I don't want you to say, after listening to this episode, what about this one? What about that one? Because you know your mate more than anyone else, because you in a relationship with them. Not me, not another therapist, not your girlfriends. You. So you know certain habits, and sometimes people get caught up in the relationship and certain experiences occur and they become disheveled. And so you find them not doing the certain habits that they used to do, and it attracted you and made you more invested in them. And it's okay to remind them. It's okay to remind them. Well, you used to do this. You used to do that. I remembered that you used to be like this. Now, can they evolve into a totally different person and not do the things they used to do? Sure. But it's certain habits along the way that got you more invested in the relationship than uninvested. So sometimes you can remind them, and if they conclude that, oh, okay, well, that's not me anymore, then that's a whole nother set of things that y'all have to cover. Whether y'all go forward with the relationship, whether you adjust and accept who this person is right now. And if your standards are telling you no, then I can't be the person to play God, because I can't play God in my life. So I can't say because X, Y, and Z is going on, unless you're being physically, emotionally, and mentally abused. I can't conclude this relationship definitely needs to end. It's multi-layered. No one can sit in one session and conclude that your relationship needs to end or it needs to continue. It's multi-layered. And you have to dive in, get to know that person, get to know the person you're in a relationship with, and know everything or enough to conclude the next point in their life. Habits are things that you repeatedly do over and over again. And the results of those habits will determine if you'll do it again. And again and again. Sometimes people don't like the results, but they do it because they're used to doing it. But when you're in a relationship, you have to step out of yourself to accommodate that person. You're entering into their world. They're not just being a part of your world, you're entering into their world. So sometimes you do have to acquire the habit of giving affirmation. Well, I'm not used to that. My mom and dad didn't do that. My uncle didn't do that. So what? Who are you in a relationship with? Check yourself. And when you realize that, if that person is someone of value and they mean that much to you, you'll learn to accommodate them. You'll learn to accommodate them. You'll learn to be what you're not used to being. And you'll become uncomfortable so they could become comfortable in your world. And you become less invested in your world and more invested in their world. That's if you want them to be a part of your life. Keyword. Get in the habit of giving hugs. That might be their love language. Take away the habit of being demeaning and belittling. So what, your mom and dad did it. So what, your dad did it and it got the results for your mom to be submissive. Just because them results made her submissive, that don't mean she enjoyed it or the role of being submissive under those terms. A woman can enjoy submission without being demeaning and brutal towards her. You could be loving and she could still be submissive. He could be a leader without you talking and dismantling his manhood. Get out of the habit of being a verbal abuser. Tough. Yeah, real tough. So what? Your mom, your aunts, your grandma, they all did that and they kept a man. That don't mean that man wanted to stay. That don't mean that man enjoyed staying. Or get out of the habit of doing that and you're single. Well, my mom, my grandma, and my aunt did it. But what was their results? Do they got a man? And if they don't, okay, that might be a factor. Well, my habit, I just have a habit I'm used to. Sorry for the interruption. However, when looking at bad habits and good habits in relationships, you really have to examine yourself. And sometimes when your partner brings up something repeatedly, observe it and see what is really going on. And if this is something you've been doing across the board in all your relationships, and if that's the case, it's not just a purposeless complaint. It's a complaint that can help you become just a better person in general. So you want to get in the process of examining your habits, whether good or bad. If you see something working and you've been doing it repeatedly and you like the results and your partner like the results, continue with that habit. Get in the habit of doing it. Now, I do want to address some things that are very damaging when it comes to habits and something that could be very beneficial. Using the words always, never, and all the time are all-inclusive words